The timeline is great for distilling information about a project. You can emphasize a few important tasks or add key milestones as callouts. The timeline also provides an easy way to adjust the dates you see in the primary view in Project. So here's the timeline view up in the top of the project window. If you don't see the view, go to the View tab and make sure to turn on the timeline checkbox, and then you'll see the timeline as it is here. Now, one of the great things about the timeline is it shows the project start date at the beginning, the left side of the bar, and the finish date at the right side. So here you see your entire project in one simple view. And it's also great for highlighting things about your project. So you can highlight summary tasks, things like phases. Here's the planning a move, the design and construction phase. But you can also emphasize specific tasks, so maybe the move or drafting the budget. It's really easy to add things to the timeline. So let's say we want to add a few tasks to emphasize them and keep our eyes on what's going on with them. Just right-click the task, in this case, Finalize Lease, and choose Add to Timeline. And you see the bar appear here in the timeline. Well, I'm going to add a couple of other things. I'm going to add the Planning Complete milestone. Just right-click it, choose Add to Timeline, and do the same thing with the open house near the end of the project. Now, a couple things to notice. The milestone that I added shows up as a milestone on the timeline. But the open house, that's a task. It's a short one, but it's a task, and it shows up as this narrow little bar, and there's no information. So that might actually be better as a call-out. Well, you can change the format to a call-out or a taskbar. Just click the thing that you want to change. In this case, it's the taskbar. And you can see Display as Bar is highlighted because it's showing as a bar right now. If I want to change it to a call-out, I click Display as Call-out. And now you've got a little call-out box, which is much better. You can see the name and you can see the date. Well, you can also create new tasks right in the timeline. To do that, go to the Insert section, and you can see you can add a task. You can add a task as a call-out, kind of like the open house here, or you can add a milestone. Well, in this case, I'm going to add a milestone. And the Task Information dialog box opens. It's the same one that opens if you're going to create a task or edit a task in other views. So I'm going to type the name. In this case, it's a construction payment. It's a milestone, so it's got its duration of 0 days. And the only thing I have to do is give it a start date, August 26th, and click OK, and there's the milestone. To remove a task from the timeline, it's really easy. Just right-click it and choose Remove from Timeline. Now it disappears in the timeline, but it's still in the project, so it'll be down in the Gantt chart. The timeline is a really great view for communicating to a lot of audiences that really don't need all the detail of a Gantt chart. So you can copy it to other places. To do that, on the Format tab, click Copy Timeline. You can see you can get it right into an email, or let's say you want to put it into a PowerPoint slide, just choose For Presentation, and it copies it to the clipboard. And now you can switch over to PowerPoint and paste it into a slide. The other thing the timeline does, you can see that there's this box. That actually controls the date range that appears in the Gantt chart view. So if I drag this box, you can see that the date range changes. I can also change the end date by dragging to the left or to the right, and I can change the start date of that date range by dragging to the left or right. And by the way, if dragging doesn't work, on the Format tab, make sure this Pan and Zoom checkbox is turned on, because that's what allows you to drag this box around and also change the earliest or latest date of the date range. I'm just going to get these taskbars a little bit more in view. There's one other way that you can change the date range very easily. I'm going to make sure that the Gantt chart view is active. Click in it to make it active, and you can see it is because I've got Gantt chart tools up here. And now I go down to the lower right corner of the window, and you see there's this zoom slider. So if I drag to the right, it zooms in. You can see that the taskbars are getting longer because I'm getting into smaller time frames that are shown on the screen. Or if I drag to the left, the taskbars get shorter because the time frames are shorter. So I'm zooming out. The timeline is a great way to look at a project from a high level. And it's also an easy way to change the date range you see in the main view's timescale.